My name is Fuzzybull, and here's what I got going on right now. So I took 4 of the most famous irrational numbers and I'm putting them through a tournament where they'll compete with each other in some games that I picked out for them to see which one is truly the best. Now, you may be wondering, how would numbers compete in a tournament with their numbers? What are these famous irrational numbers you're talking about? Why do you care so much about this? And sure, maybe you're right to be asking all these questions. But before I answer them, I want to make sure that we remember what irrational numbers are. I promise, I'll keep this as simple as I can. So real numbers are split into 2 groups. On one side, we have rational numbers, which is any number that can be written as a ratio of 2 integers, like 1/2, or -7, or 0.25, or even 0.3 repeating. Basically any number that's a fraction. These are all ratios of 2 numbers, as you can see. Irrational numbers are the numbers that can be written as a simple fraction. This is because the decimal forms go on forever, without repeating. You can't just fit them into a fraction. And that right there is why I love irrational numbers. They deal with infinites. So in theory, every possible sequence of numbers is in their decimal expansion. In theory, you could find your phone number, your social security, your birthday, your mom's number, but everybody has that, and even the winning lottery numbers. And not only that, but in theory, you could find a section that has all of this, all next to each other, in the sequence. You can find any list of numbers in any order, all within just one of these irrational numbers. The numbers I have chosen to compete are pi, e, the golden ratio, and the square root of 2. Now, what's really special about these numbers is that they are deterministic, which means that each of these numbers are always the same number. They're infinite, but they're not random. Pi always starts out as 3.1415. And 1 million digits down, it's always 779458151. This allows the numbers to act as if they had unique DNA. And it allows them to decide how they compete in the tournament. Well, I should probably explain how they play these games. To make the numbers play the games, I had to write a simple Python script that takes in some text files with the first 50,000 to 1 million digits. I couldn't find more than 50,000 for the golden ratio from a reliable source, but it should be more than enough for the purposes of this video. So the Python script shoves the digits from the text files into a function that turns them into keyboard presses. So it would turn this section in 3.1415 to left, up, right, up, start. This would then translate to inputs in the game. I hope you got that. And if you didn't, you'll get it as you watch, I promise. Alright. Now let's get into the good stuff. So for this tournament, it'll be pretty standard. It's single elimination. First place gets 4 points. Last place gets 1 point. We'll add up the total at the end, and the one with the most points is the winner. And the last rule is the most important. In the name of integrity and fairness, I've decided to remove any randomness, with some caveats that we'll get into later. So every movement is done by the numbers. Let's check out the first game.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
So right now what you're seeing in the background is 4 saves of Pokemon Emerald, each controlled by a different irrational number. I've labeled them so hopefully you can tell what number is doing what. On the top left you have the square root of 2, top right golden ratio, bottom left E, and the bottom right pi. The inputs and the current digit that they're on are also on the screen. I ran this at like 6 times game speed on an emulator for an hour, But the footage you're seeing here is even more sped up, so you don't have to sit through the whole thing. I chose to run it for an hour because I thought that was enough time to give them all a chance, and I wasn't about to run it until they beat the game. Which is funny, because that's actually what inspired the video. I heard about the channel called The Winning Sequence that was running Pi playing Pokemon Sapphire until it beat the game. And after months, Pi is still in the beginning of the game with a level 90 Sceptile. I highly recommend you check out his channel. I know I love to check about how Pi is doing it once in a while. Now, for this game, the winner will be the one that can get the furthest in the game within the hour. I've added a green bar showing how far into the hour we are. Once the bar gets to the end, whoever's the furthest is the winner. If you've never been to a Pokemon Emerald, the first thing you have to do in the game is to go and talk to your mom. Then you have to go upstairs and set the clock that's in your room. You can't leave your room until you set it. And then your journey really begins. And you have to try and leave the town so that you can pick up your starter Pokemon. Keep in mind, these are still numbers playing these games, which means that the correct inputs in the correct order need to show up from the irrational numbers in order for them to progress. For example, for them to even leave the town is a large bottleneck because the exit is relatively small and the inputs have to align perfectly. So we'll see if they even get that far in 1 hour. I'm going to let it run for a bit now and we'll see who gets the furthest before the hour is over. So here I decided to slow it down a little bit so that you can see clearly what's happening as we cross the finish line. If you pay attention to the top left corner, we see that the square root of 2 has finally found the perfect sequence to leave the town, which puts it way in the lead as we cross the finish line, with the square root of 2 being the clear winner. Now I've let the square root of 2's gameplay go on for a little bit more so that you guys can see that it actually picks up its starter Pokemon, goes into battle, and ends up winning its first battle. So there's no denying that the square root of 2 has officially won the first challenge. Now to determine where the other numbers placed, I have to measure how far they got into the game. So in last place we have E. That's not only stuck inside of a building, but it's in the second floor of the building. So it has to find 2 doorways and then go north. In third place, we have the golden ratio. And then for second place, we have Pi, who's the closest to the exit of the town. The second challenge is Mario Kart Wii. So for Mario Kart Wii, I decided to only give the numbers the following controls: left, right, and item. By default, they all drive forward automatically. I decided to keep it simple because after running it a couple of times, the numbers were having a lot of trouble finishing the race. In fact, I had to make it so that the winner was whoever completed just 1 lap first. In this game, the numbers are labeled as the following: Pi is top left as Mario, the golden ratio is top right as Luigi, E is bottom left as Yoshi, and the square root of 2 is bottom right as Princess Peach. Even with these controls, you're going to notice the numbers driving in circles, driving into walls, driving backwards for entire sections, and not gaining any progress. This was the main issue, and I had to cut it off at 1 lap in order to get results in a reasonable amount of time. Also, if you prefer, since I sped up the footage and it's hard to keep up, you can just pay attention to the minimap in the middle to determine where each number is. Also, since there are CPUs in the race, the number 9th is probably going to be first, and obviously 12 is still last. This is why I mentioned the caveat on randomness, by the way. The items in Mario Kart are random and influence the race, but I think it's chill and it's my tournament and it's my rules, so whatever. Okay, we're getting very close to the end of the race, and I want you to pay attention to the minimap. As you can see, the square root of 2, aka Peach, is very close to the finish line. I know you see Yoshi there too, aka E, but he's actually in 11th place. He's actually still in the beginning of the lap. He's went backwards from the finish line. And Princess Peach, aka square root of 2, is the winner. Now, we have in second place, Golden Ratio, Luigi. We have E, Yoshi. And then last, we have Pi as Mario. As a little halftime show before the last game, the numbers have prepared a little song and dance for you guys. I made each digit an input into an instrument in GarageBand. I also made each of the irrational numbers walk on a canvas using their digits as inputs. And this is the performance. I hope you enjoyed that performance. I know the numbers are very proud of themselves. But now it's finally time for the final game. Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Now for the last competition, I've chosen Super Smash Bros. Brawl. If you've ever played this game or know anything about it, you know I had to go all Meta Knight in Final Destination, no items. At the end of the day, this is all in the name of fairness. Running no items removes any random variables that might influence the results. And the option to go all Meta Knight Ditto removes unfair matchups from the equation. This method will help us determine who actually is the best irrational number at Smash Brawl. I hope you're hyped. This is going to be intense. And in the blink of an eye, both the square root of 2 and Pi lose a stock. Very unfortunate. The stocks are going down fast. Now all the numbers are tied with 2 stocks. Pi loses another stock. Pi is spamming the tornado. E loses another stock. Very close game. As the stocks further dwindle, they're all giving each other more space. Playing it safe right now. Phi goes down. Now 3 of the numbers have 1 life. Square root of 2 is in the lead. E's eliminated. By the way, for this game I gave these numbers jump, left and right, special, and normal attack. I decided to throw in emote as one of the inputs, just to spice it up a little bit. Square root of 2 loses a stock and fight SDs, leaving only Pi and the square root of 2 for the final battle. They're both attacking each other, not wavering. Pi runs to the ledge. And the square root of 2 falls. Pi's done it. Pi wins. So Pi's the winner of Smash. But I have to see who the winner of the entire tournament is. So from this game, Pi gets 4 points. The square root of 2 gets 3. Phi gets 2. And E gets 1. Making the winner the square root of 2 with 11 points. In second, we have Pi with 8 points. Phi in third with 7. And E in dead last with 4. Now, I know irrational numbers aren't perfect at video games. Or making music, or whatever. In fact, some would say they're not good at all, and that it's just random noise. But isn't that what makes irrational numbers so great? The fact that in the infinite sequence of numbers, you can find some order, some solution to a game, some semblance of music, out of the seemingly random noise and infinite chaos. I hope you enjoyed and thanks for watching.